The Chicago Bears are entering one of the most exciting offseasons in recent memory. With a new head coach, a ton of cap space, and a clear vision for the future, the team is setting up for a major leap forward. At the 2025 NFL Combine, General Manager Ryan Poles took the podium to discuss the team's plans, and let me tell you, Bears fans, there was plenty to get excited about. Poles gave us some key insights into how Chicago is approaching free agency, the draft, and the overall roster. So let's dive right in. Here are the 4 biggest takeaways from Ryan Poles' press conference at the NFL Combine. Number 1, the Bears will be aggressive in free agency. If there was one thing Poles made clear, it's that the Bears aren't sitting back when it comes to free agency. He repeatedly emphasized that head coach Ben Johnson has a clear vision for the offense. And when a coach knows exactly what he needs, it makes it a lot easier for the front office to go out and get the right players. Now, Poles didn't outright say they'll be throwing money around like crazy, but let's read between the lines here. The Bears have nearly $80 million in cap space, one of the highest amounts in the league. If there's a player Johnson is pounding the table for, you better believe Poles is going to make the move. And Bears fans, there are already rumors swirling about who they might target. One name that keeps coming up, Pro Bowl guard Trey Smith from the Kansas City Chiefs. Adding a dominant force like Smith to the offensive line would be a game changer for whoever lines up under center in Week 1. But it's not just the offensive line. The Bears are also rumored to be looking at center Drew Dahlman and veteran tackle Ronnie Stanley. Poles knows protecting the quarterback is priority number 1, and he's going to be aggressive in making sure that happens. Chicago's offensive struggles in past seasons can largely be attributed to inconsistency up front. Having a rock-solid offensive line is critical for any team looking to make a deep playoff run. That's why it makes sense for Poles to focus heavily on building a dominant unit in the trenches. Now, let's talk about the skill positions. The Bears have a solid group of playmakers, but they could use another reliable target in the passing game. Some reports suggest that Poles is interested in making a run at wide receiver T. Higgins if he becomes available. Higgins would bring size, speed, and reliable hands, exactly what a young quarterback needs to succeed. Speaking of quarterbacks, the biggest question remains, who will be leading the Bears under center in 2025? If the team drafts Caleb Williams with the number 1 pick, surrounding him with talent will be a top priority. Poles knows he can't afford to repeat past mistakes of failing to build around a young signal caller. Beyond the offensive side of the ball, expect Chicago to aggressively pursue defensive playmakers as well. While Montez Sweat was a fantastic addition to the pass rush, the Bears need another dominant edge rusher. Names like Danielle Hunter and Josh Allen have been floated as potential targets in free agency. Chicago's secondary is another area of focus. Jaylon Johnson has been a key part of the defense, but his contract situation remains unresolved. If the Bears can't lock him down, they may have to turn their attention to the draft or free agency for a replacement. There are some solid options, but losing Johnson would create a major hole in the defense. This is exactly the kind of mindset you want from your GM. Identify the needs, spend smart, and go after the players who fit the vision. Free agency is going to be wild, and the Bears are ready to make moves. Number 2, the opportunity is matching the needs. One of the biggest challenges for any GM is balancing free agency with the draft. Do you spend big on veterans, or do you build through young talent? Poles was asked about this and, as usual, played it close to the vest, but he did drop one key nugget. He believes the current pool of free agents and draft prospects matches up perfectly with what the Bears need. That's a huge deal. It means the Bears don't have to overpay for a position just because there aren't many options available. They can be smart about where they invest their money and which positions they address in the draft. For example, offensive tackle is a major need. The good news? There are multiple solid options in free agency and a deep draft class at the position. The same goes for the interior offensive line. Chicago has flexibility, and that's a great place to be when you're rebuilding a roster. Another area to watch is the defensive line. The Bears could use another dominant pass rusher to complement Montez Sweat. The 2025 draft class has some intriguing edge rushers, including Alabama's Dallas Turner and Florida State's Jared Verse. If the Bears opt to use their top pick on a quarterback, they could still find a great pass rusher later in the first round or early in the second. Expect Poles to use this advantage to his full benefit. The Bears will go into free agency knowing they can be selective, and they'll enter the draft knowing they don't have to reach for a player just to fill a hole. It's the perfect scenario for building a well-rounded team. Number 3, the offense is more excited than ever before. Look, we all know the last few years haven't exactly been thrilling on offense, but that's about to change. When asked about the vibe in the locker room, Poles made a point to mention how juiced up the offense is under Ben Johnson, and not just a little excited. He said it feels completely different from anything he's seen over the past 3 years. That's huge. A great coach doesn't just bring in a good playbook. He builds confidence, belief, and energy. And right now, the Bears offense is feeling all of that. Now, let's not forget, this is a team that could be adding a new quarterback. If Chicago drafts Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick, that excitement is only going to skyrocket. A fresh offensive scheme combined with a talented rookie quarterback, that's a recipe for a franchise-changing season. Number 4, Braxton Jones does not have a guaranteed starting spot. Braxton Jones has been a solid contributor on the offensive line since being drafted in 2022, but injuries and inconsistency have raised questions about his future as a starter. Poles made it clear that while the Bears believe in Jones' potential, they will bring in competition to push him for the role. Jones is recovering from an ankle injury that sidelined him for part of the 2024 season. The Bears are actively exploring free agency and the draft for reinforcements. Names like Jonah Williams and Charles Leno Jr. are possible veteran additions, while top draft prospects like Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu could be in play. Jones has strengths, his length, athleticism, and work ethic, but struggles with power rushers and run-blocking consistency. If he improves in training camp, he can retain his job, but if another player outperforms him, the Bears won't hesitate to make a change. The priority is protecting the quarterback, especially if Chicago drafts a rookie. Competition ensures the best 5 linemen start, and whether it's Jones or someone new at left tackle, the Bears are committed to building a dominant offensive line. Bears fans, the 2025 offseason is shaping up to be one of the most important in franchise history. The excitement is real, the vision is clear, and the Bears are ready to build something special. Buckle up, Chicago. This is just the beginning.